There is a black plastic bucket sitting behind my woodshed right now. It is half full of rainwater, a fistful of grass clippings gone soft and green, and one level spoonful of a powder I bought at the hardware store for $17. Every female mosquito within 100 yards of my farmhouse is flying toward that bucket tonight to lay her eggs. And every single egg she lays there will be dead inside a day. That bucket will not harm my honeybees. It will not harm the butterflies in my wife's flower beds. It will not harm my dog when she drinks from the puddle beside it, or the barn cats, or the chickens, or the songbirds at the feeder, or the barefoot children running through the yard at dusk. It kills one thing and one thing only: the mosquito. Nothing else on God's earth. My name is Elias Yoder. I am Amish. I keep 11 hives of honeybees on this farm. My wife tends near half an acre of flowers and herbs that the pollinators depend on, and I have not been bitten by a mosquito at my own supper table in 9 years. We own no electric bug zapper. No spray truck ever turns down our lane. No pest control company has our name on a contract, and yet the evening air out on our porch is clean. I'm going to show you exactly what I do, in the order I do it, what each piece costs, and where to put it. And then I'm going to tell you the part that ought to make you a little uneasy, which is that the companies who spray yards for a living have known about this for 40 years, and most of them still come to your house and spray something that kills the honeybees right alongside the mosquitoes. They do it because the safe way is cheap, and the cheap way does not refill itself at $200 a visit. Stay with me. By the time we are done, you will know how to clear the mosquitoes off your own ground this very weekend for less than the price of one professional treatment, and your bees will thank you for it. Let me start with the thing most folks get wrong, because if you do not understand this one thing, none of the rest will make any sense. Mosquitoes do not come from the air. They do not drift in out of the woods. They do not blow across the fence line from your neighbor's pond. The mosquito that bites you in your own backyard was born in your own backyard. Every one of them. They are born in water, standing water, and not much of it. A mosquito does not need a pond. She needs a bottle cap that has held rain for 4 days. She needs the saucer under a flower pot. She needs the crease in a tarp, the clogged gutter, the old tire behind the barn, the dog dish nobody empties. A female lays her eggs on the surface of still water, and inside a week, those eggs have become wrigglers, and inside 2 weeks, the wrigglers have become the biting adults that find you on the porch. The whole life of the thing happens in a puddle the size of your hand. Once you understand that, you understand the trick. You do not chase grown mosquitoes around your yard swatting at the air. That is a fool's errand, and it never ends. You go to the water. You end her before she ever leaves it. That is the whole secret, and it is the opposite of what the man with the spray truck wants you to believe, because you cannot sell a monthly contract on something a family can do themselves with a coffee can. Now let me tell you about the powder in that bucket. The label calls it mosquito bits or mosquito dunks, and the science of it goes by a set of initials, BTI. That stands for a natural bacterium, Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, found in soil all over the world. When a mosquito larva eats it, the bacterium releases a protein that destroys the lining of the larva's gut, and the larva dies. That is the whole of it. But here is the beautiful part, the part that makes it worth your attention. That protein only becomes a poison inside a gut with a very particular chemistry. The highly alkaline gut of a mosquito larva, a black fly larva, a fungus gnat. A honeybee's gut is nothing like it. Your gut is nothing like it. A fish, a frog, a bird, a dog, none of them have the chemistry to trigger it. So it passes through every one of them and does nothing at all. It kills the mosquito larva, and it leaves the entire rest of creation untouched. I am not exaggerating this to sell you something. I have nothing to sell. Germany has used BTI to control mosquitoes along the Rhine since the early 1980s. Health departments in state after state use it. They drop it out of airplanes over marshland where the songbirds nest and the fish spawn because they know it will not hurt them. It is about the safest pest control product that has ever been made, and it has held that record for 40 years. So ask yourself, why the lawn care company at your door is not using it? The answer is plain enough. A $17 tub of it lasts one family the whole summer. It is sold right over the counter to anyone, and the moment you know about it, you no longer need to write anybody a check every month. You do the arithmetic on which product a man in that business would rather you never hear of. One spoonful floating on a half-full bucket of that swampy grass water will kill every mosquito egg laid in it for 2 to 4 weeks. After that, the bacterium breaks down in the sun, and you sprinkle in another spoonful. That is the entire maintenance of the thing. A spoonful every few weeks. Now here's how you make it work across your whole place, because one bucket behind one shed will not clear a half-acre lot. You want at least 3 buckets, one on each side of the house, and you set them away from where you sit, away from where you eat, away from where the little ones play, always away. You are not decorating the yard. You are drawing the enemy off, out to the edges, away from your camp. I keep one behind the woodshed on the north side, one out past the bee yard on the east, and one tucked behind my wife's rosemary on the west, where she cannot see it and tell me it spoils her view. She has firm opinions about how the yard ought to look, and over the years I have learned which arguments are worth having. Use a dark-colored bucket if you can, black or dark green. The female likes dark, still water to lay in, and she will choose your trap over the clean bird bath every time if you make it inviting. A handful of grass clippings or a few dead leaves in the water helps. It goes a little foul, a little green, and that stink is exactly what calls her in. You are building the most tempting nursery on the property, and then you are making sure not one egg laid there ever survives. If you have a flower bed too tidy to hide a bucket in, take the lid the bucket came with, run 4 short dowels through it for little legs, and rest that lid on top like a small hat. Now the rain cannot fill the bucket and water down your BTI, but the mosquito can still slip in underneath to lay. A few dollars in dowels and 5 minutes with a hand drill. I do not own a power drill. I have no electricity on this farm. The brace and bit my father handed down to me bores a hole just fine, and it always has. For the wet places, you cannot set a bucket. A ditch along the road, a low corner of the pasture that holds water after a hard rain, an old stock tank down by the barn. They make the same medicine in another shape. They look like little brown donuts. The box calls them dunks. You just toss one in. Each covers about 100 square feet of standing water and lasts about a month. I keep a box in the mudroom, and I drop a fresh dunk in the rain barrel by the back porch on the first day of every month from May clear through September. And here is a spot most folks never think of: your gutters. If your gutters carry any debris at all, leaves, pine needles, the sort of packing that builds up within a year of the last cleaning, they are holding water. Not much, just enough. Sprinkle a spoonful of mosquito bits straight up into the gutter every couple of weeks in the season, and you have shut down what is very likely the single largest breeding ground on your whole property. The homeowner has no idea the gutters are doing it. The mosquito knows exactly. Now, before I go further, let me say a word about the part you cannot buy in any store, which is simply walking your ground. Once a week in the summer, in the cool of the morning, take an empty coffee can and walk your whole yard slow. Every saucer under every pot. The wheelbarrow leaned against the barn. The dog dish you stopped using. The folds of the tarp over the firewood. The kiddie pool the children left tipped up. The bird bath. The clogged downspout. The old tire pile, and, if you have a tire pile, get shed of it, because a stack of old tires is the worst mosquito factory ever built by the hand of man, holding warm, black water in 100 hidden pockets. Dump them all. Turn them over. Walk the line every week. The Extension Office calls this source reduction, and it is fully half the battle. You can put out 50 buckets of BTI, and it will not do you the good that emptying the 6 little catch pools hiding around your yard will do. 5 minutes a week. The mosquito begins in the water. You end her there. All right, so you have walked the ground, you have set the buckets, you have treated the gutters. That handles the eggs and the wrigglers. But you have a problem still. There are grown mosquitoes out there right now, hatched last week, hunting blood so they can lay one last batch before they die. They will not read your mind and fly out to the bucket. They will come find you on the porch. So we have to deal with the adults too. And this is the second piece of the system, and it is also safe for the bees and the butterflies, and it costs you a few dollars and one afternoon. What we use is essential oils, the real ones, the true plant extracts, not perfume. Cedarwood, rosemary, clove, garlic, lemongrass, peppermint. These are concentrated plant compounds that people have used to turn away biting insects for thousands of years, all over the world. People who had nothing else, and worked out by trial what actually held the bugs off. You can buy them already blended into a few name-brand yard sprays at the hardware store. There is a kind of bottle that screws onto the end of your garden hose. I will tell you straight, the hose end bottle does not work well. It throws the spray too fine and it empties too fast. What I use is a pump-up garden sprayer, the sort you fill by hand, pump up, and carry on your shoulder. About $40, and it lasts a lifetime. You fill the tank about 3/4 with water. You shake your bottle of repellent oil hard because the oils settle to the bottom and sit there, and you pour in the measure the label tells you. For most of them, that comes to something like 4 to 8 ounces in a 4-gallon tank. You shake the whole sprayer to mix it, and the water turns cloudy, like skim milk. Then you walk the property and you spray. Here is the trick most folks miss. Do not spray the open air. The oils flash off fast, and you are only wasting them into the wind. What you want to coat is the underside of the leaves, the insides of the bushes, the tall flowers, the eaves of the porch, the back of the woodpile, the inside of any lattice. Because in the daytime, a mosquito does not fly about. She rests. She hangs upside down in the cool shade under a leaf, in the sheltered pockets of your shrubs, waiting on the evening. Spray those resting places, and you take the whole adult population in a single afternoon. Spray under the deck, spray the patio furniture, spray the porch lattice. But do not spray the blossoms that are in bloom. And this matters, because while these oils will not kill a honeybee, they will tell her to go land somewhere else. Spray the flowers, and you have driven off your own pollinators, which is the very last thing we want. I do my whole farmstead, porch, kitchen door bushes, wood stack, chicken yard fence line in about 45 minutes. And it holds 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the rain. After a hard thunderstorm, I go around again. That is the cost of it. Less than an hour a month and a few dollars in oil. Now I want to tell you about two more things that belong to my people that I believe you ought to know, because they are part of how we have always done this. The first is the purple martin house. If you have ever driven through Lancaster County, or through Holmes County in Ohio, or Shipshewana over in Indiana, you have seen them. Tall white poles with what looks like a little white apartment house on top, set 15 feet up in the open, well away from the trees. They are on nearly every Amish farm. Now I have to be honest with you, because there is a tale going around that one purple martin eats 2,000 mosquitoes a day, and that is not so. When folks have looked at what is actually in their crops, mosquitoes turn out to be a small part of it. The martins eat mostly beetles, dragonflies, moths, the bigger insects that fly in the daylight when the martins are on the wing, and the mosquitoes come out after the martins have gone to roost. So do not put up a martin house believing it will end your mosquitoes, because it will not. Put one up anyway if you have the open room, because a martin colony eats the bigger insects that would be chewing your garden, and the birds are a joy to watch, and they sing in the morning, and the children take to caring for them. We have kept them 200 years for reasons wider than any one bug. A property that is alive with martins and dragonflies and bats and frogs is a property where the mosquito has a hard time getting a grip in the first place, because the whole of creation is working with you instead of against you. Give the martins a tall pole, 15 feet up, 60 feet clear of any tree or roof, and let them make your place a livelier one. The second thing is what my grandmother did at dusk, in the cool of the evening, when the family was gathered on the porch. She would take an old tin can, a coffee can with a few nail holes punched in the side for air, and set in it a small handful of dried herbs from her garden: rosemary, sage, dried lavender, and a sprig of mugwort in a bad year. She would lay one small coal in the bottom, light it, and let the herbs smolder. The smoke off those herbs is what we had before there was anything else, and it smells like a kitchen at Christmas, nothing at all like a can of chemical spray. It holds the mosquitoes back out of a circle maybe 10 feet across for as long as the herbs keep smoking. You can do the very same on your patio tonight. A little ceramic dish, a charcoal disc from the hardware store, a handful of dried rosemary or sage out of your own cupboard. The smoke is gentle. It does not trouble the honeybees, for they are already shut up in the hive for the night, and the mosquitoes will not come near it. I want to leave you with the larger picture, because I believe it matters. The mosquito kills more human beings every year than any other creature on earth. Not the snake, not the shark, not the wolf or the bear, the mosquito. She carries West Nile, which is in every state in this country now. She carries other fevers, rarer but crueler. And in the poorer parts of the world she carries malaria, which still takes better than 500,000 lives a year, most of them children. This is not a small itch on your arm we are talking about. This is serious business, and it always has been. But the way most of this country has been taught to answer it: call the company, sign the contract, let a man spray your whole yard once a month with something that kills every insect it lands on. That is not the only way, and it is not the best way. It is only the way that puts money in somebody's pocket. Our honeybees are in trouble in this country. 20 years of decline, whole hives collapsing, and there are many reasons, but one of them is that the same poisons sprayed to kill mosquitoes in the suburbs are killing the bees that pollinate the food in those same yards. You cannot kill the pest without killing the helper if you reach for the wrong tool. BTI does not kill the bee. The oil sprays do not kill the bee. Dumping the standing water kills nothing but the mosquito. The whole system I have laid out for you, the buckets, the dunks, the oils, the smudge, the weekly walk, costs less than 1 month of a service contract, takes one weekend to set right, and you can run it yourself for the rest of your life. No contract, no poison, no harm done. This is what we have always done, and not because we are clever, because we had no other choice. When you cannot drive to the store, and you cannot ring the spray truck, and you cannot carry a monthly bill, you learn what truly works with what lies close at hand. And what we learned across the generations is a simple thing. The mosquito problem is a water problem, and the water problem is one you can solve with $17 and an hour of your attention. So this weekend, here is what I would have you do. Walk your ground with a coffee can and pour out every saucer, every bucket, every wheelbarrow, every fold of tarp that is holding water. That is step one, and it costs you nothing. Set out 3 buckets in the hidden corners, dark, half full, a handful of clippings, a spoonful of bits in each. Drop a dunk in the rain barrel, the gutter, any low place that holds water more than a day or two. And if you have the time, get a pump sprayer and a bottle of oil and coat the underside of every shrub, the back of the woodpile, the lattice of the porch. That is your weekend. About $60 the first time, and less than $30 a season after. By next Saturday evening, you will sit on your porch in the cool of the day with no mosquito coming for you, your honeybees still working the flowers, your butterflies still on the lavender, and your dog drinking from whatever puddle she pleases. Tell me down in the comments where you live and how bad your mosquitoes are this year. I read every one of them. And tell me if you set out a bucket, for I would truly like to know how it goes. The folks in my community have long known this works. I am telling it to the folks outside of it, who were simply never told. Next time, I am going to show you what my grandmother did to keep the flies out of the kitchen in August, which takes a glass jar, a scrap of paper, and one thing from the pantry you would never guess. It worked for 100 years before sticky paper was ever sold, and it still works better than anything you can buy. Until then, stay cool, stay watchful, and remember that the people who built this country with their 2 hands knew things we are only now beginning to remember.